Well, thousands of Nigerians displaced from the Bakassi Peninsula by a 2002 judgment of the International Court of Justice, which ceded the territory to the Republic of Cameroon, are still facing a crisis of identity and deep-seated sense of injustice. This follows the failure of the Nigerian authorities to relocate them away from the ramshackle surroundings of their current abode in Akwabuyo and Calabar South local government areas of the state. A lack of political will has been blamed for their current plight as well, and Governor Bakassi O2 says he will ensure that the ceding of Bakassi to Cameroon was revisited by the federal government, adding that any decision taken by any party to the dispute must be mutually agreed upon. Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us now to look at the possibility of achieving the Cross River State's governor's wish. Good afternoon, Mr. Sobowale.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure of being here as usual.
Great. Now, what are the legal and political implications when it comes to ceding the Bakassi Peninsula to Cameroon, given that it was a Nigerian territory before the International Court of Justice's ruling?
Well, the ceding has been done. What the governor is talking about now is that Nigeria lost out in the case taken to the International Court of Justice, and that we should reopen the matter. Maybe by appealing the judgment, or by looking at other ways of making life comfortable for those who are victims of the takeover of Bakassi, both by diplomacy and by international law. Blame for that has been laid at the doorstep of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. And some have laid the blame at the doorstep of General Gawon, who did not, before he left, provide military support for the area. But for the people of the area who are agitating, their hero, you won't believe it, is General Abacha, who, according to them, gave them support while even the Cameroonian gendarmes were threatening them and trying to take over their territory. I think it's a case of first, the legacy of colonial rule still reverberating, and secondly, our mishandling of the diplomacy and the dagger tussle that ensued, resulting in our losing it. You see, the colonial legacy, if you want to trace it, you go back to 1914, when Germany lost the First World War, and the colonial masters of Africa then took over German territories, both here and in East Africa. And that's the legacy we are still facing now. And then, funnily enough, the law, including international law, is a backward-looking profession. Not in terms of progress, but in terms of precedence. They look at past judgments. And that was what they went back to. They had the International Court, the 1913 rule, Anglo-German agreement that ceded German territories to Britain. So that was how that came about. But you see, the people in the area, the Effiks, they are the ones in the Cameroon. They are people of the same stock. Get me? They are divided by colonial border. If left to themselves, they will stay together. Just like, you see, you have a similar situation in Adamawa. In fact, some people used to say that the past presidential candidate of the PDP came from Cameroon. That is the sort of demarcation you have in Bakassi. But then my own take is this. If we really want to take a look at it, the governor can resuscitate the matter, link up with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and appeal to the international, convince the president at the center, and appeal to the International Court of Justice to revisit the issue. And let's see how it is resolved again. Because according to those who are involved, in those days, especially I read an interview of a traditional ruler who reportedly had the the biggest palace in Southeast there, who said that they were not consulted. They were hearing rumors, but they thought everything would end well until they just saw soldiers. They summoned him to Calabar, and he couldn't even return to his palace, and that was the end of it. That was poor handling of the diplomacy on behalf of the federal government then. And that's why I said those people have pleasant memory of the way General Abacha protected them. So the ball is in the court of the governor to summon the courage, the resources, and pressurize the federal government to go to the court of justice and reopen the issue. Yes, let's leave it like that for now.
Right. Now, one thing about Cross River State is that Governor
Your
Otu...
state, I presume?
My state, it sure is. This is very close to my heart.
Okay.
Governor Otu inherited a state that was very close to being a failed state, if I may call it that. Not much to write home about in terms of economic activity happening in Cross River State. Now, my question is, I watched his interview last night concerning where this issue was brought up, and he brought it up in conjunction with the 76 oil wells that were also ceded to Akwa Ibom as part of the exercise when Bakassi, when Bakassi was also ceded from the state. My question is, do you think that there would be this desire or passion to revisit reintegrating Bakassi if it were not an economic conversation? If Cross River State's economic woes were faring better, do you think that they would be opening up this conversation of Bakassi, or would it just be left as it is?
Let me point out something. You said the governor inherited a failed state.
Close
That's a political
to failed,
statement.
yes.
Let's leave that out of it.
It's failed. The state is broke. It's broke.
See, but there is a governor there now.
Yes.
So maybe the governor is doing, how would I put it now? Red Cross duty to resuscitate the almost dead. So let's look at it that way. Of course, oil is involved. We are even lucky it has not, okay, I remember something now. We are even lucky there is no conflict on the ground. But then that reminds me of the Bakassi boys. When I was researching over this thing, I read the Bakassi boys. And going away from Cross River, with your permission, the Bakassi boys used to police their areas, the east, and take on kidnappers, bandits, and people like that. I think this is the time we need people like the Bakassi boys now. Although I found out that later they degenerated into political thugs, and they say political opponents and government are using them against each other. But you see, that concept is welcome now because you are facing serious onslaught from kidnappers. And even the president wrote an article in the foreign newspaper that said they would not help to ransom by kidnappers. So that is on that. Now, if oil was not involved, of course, maybe Cameroon would not be involved. That is natural. People want assets that are lucrative and will help them to improve their economy. And in our own case, I think maybe because we are already swimming in oil, we didn't pay much attention to that, or we didn't think there is much oil underneath the ground there. Maybe that's what our geologists told us here. I wouldn't know. But then, oil is involved, and as it is now, the Cameroon has won. You can only see credence in the court. And that is what I'm preaching that government should do.
Okay, so what role do you think, so of course, since it's two countries involved, what role do you think the international organizations or the international community could potentially play when it comes to mediating in this matter and facilitating peaceful resolution that takes into account the interests of both countries?
Yes, it's not before any court. It's not the business of the international community. It is the business of the Cross River State governor who is rekindling interest in the matter, and the federal government, and the acquiescence of the federal government to proceed to reopen the matter. If the federal government thinks the matter is a closed case, but left to me, given the history of the thing, and to allay some rumors that Obasanjo just ceded the place because he wanted to be seen as a statesman. You get me? So, according to some people, so as to get the Nobel Prize. You know, Obasanjo has been accused of so many ambitions in so many directions. Some said he did so many things because he wanted to be United Nations Secretary General. But Wole Soyinka and the others made sure he never became that because of his record. But then, if you want to rationalize it, maybe one wanted to be seen, aside from the first military man to hand over to the democratic elected government, wants to be seen as somebody who respects international law. Maybe that will enhance his chances of being given the Nobel Prize and whatnot. But then that's besides the issue now. The ball is in the court of the governor to proceed. I support what he's trying to do. Because I don't like the way the Europeans, through colonialism, have separated families and ethnic groups. Our own case started in 1914. We are still at it. This one was done in 1913. Right? So if people want redress, and if that redress could be obtained at the International Court of Justice, let them proceed.
All right. Okay. Well, we look forward to more from this, as it, like I said, it's an issue close to my heart. My people. Well,